and welcome to my channel. My name's Harriet. Today I'm going to be talking about some dark fairy tale inspired retellings, both of which have been written by Alexandra Christo. I really wanted to talk about this author's works because I've read both of these books now and really enjoyed both of them, and I've been craving sort of dark fairy tale inspired stories, dark romances, dark fantasy, and these two personally really hit the spot for me, even though I did read them at different times in my life. I make it sound like I read the first one a really long time ago. I didn't. I read it last year, but I really wanted to talk about them with you guys in case it is something that you are also interested in, the kind of book that you are also looking for. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the first one that I read, and that is To Kill a Kingdom. This is very similar to the story of The Little Mermaid, but it is definitely a lot darker and definitely not appropriate for children. This touches a lot more on family dynamics, which I really appreciated, having the villain being the mother figure, which generally doesn't seem to happen in a lot of fairy tales. I know a lot of the darker ones like the Grimm's Brothers tales, they do have parents that sometimes are the villains, but it is mainly a outside character. I don't know, I just found it very interesting that it was the mother figure, and I found the dynamic between the daughter and the mother very interesting, the way they work around each other and the fear that the daughter has of her own mother. Just made for something a bit more interesting than just your generic fairy tale-esque story. The darkness definitely comes from the violence. Both of the novels have got a fair amount of violence in there. They're not too gory, because I personally wouldn't be able to get through that, but they are definitely more violent than what you would maybe expect. What I really appreciated about this book was that it took the dynamic of the Little Mermaid and her prince and twisted on its head, having the mermaid be the one who wants to kill the prince. I won't explain why, but I just found it super interesting. And of course, if you're into your enemies to lovers trope, then I think you'd really enjoy this one. So overall, if you're a fan of The Little Mermaid, I do think you should pick this up. Such a unique way of retelling the story, and I thought the characters were brilliant. I thought the relationships between the characters and the yearning and the angst was very well done. You really root for the main characters to get together, even though they absolutely despise each other, which is something I haven't really experienced in a book before. Which leads me on to the second book, which I believe is part of a series, but you don't have to read them in any particular order. But that is Princess of Souls, and this is inspired by Rapunzel, which we do not have many tales which are inspired by Rapunzel, so I was very interested to pick this one up and give it a go. Again, you've got the sort of evil mother figure in this one, which I really enjoy reading, and then you have got the enemies to lovers trope as well. Now, while I did really enjoy this one, I do feel like it was fairly repetitive compared to the first book. There were a lot of tropes that were exactly the same. And while I did find the story really interesting and found it a really good retelling of Rapunzel with its own uniqueness and little nods to the film Tangled, like I say, I just found it fairly repetitive compared to the first book. So I think definitely if you really love the first one, you can give the second one a go. But personally, I wish I would have just picked one and gone with that one. I probably would have picked Princess of Souls because Rapunzel is a story that I find more interesting than The Little Mermaid personally, but at the same time I really enjoyed To Kill a Kingdom, so it's hard for me to choose between the two. I definitely don't regret reading this book, but I do think that it was just a little bit more repetitive and therefore didn't surprise me as much with how much I enjoyed it. Overall, I do think that the author does a really good job of creating really good dynamics between the characters, making you really believe that they hate each other and then seeing their relationship grow throughout the book. It definitely takes a long time for our characters to get together, so if you like something like that, then you'll really love these. It doesn't feel rushed, and I think the length of the books is really good as well. Very approachable, as well as the writing style being very easy to digest. The books themselves are written in an almost addictive way where you don't want to put them down because they are so easy to read, but they're so jam-packed full of action and emotions. You just find yourself reading chapter after chapter and not wanting to put it down. So overall, I would say give this author a go if you're looking for some really dark and unique fairy tale retellings. Please do let me know down below if you have any more books that you would like to recommend. I do have Spinning Silver and Uprooted on my TBR, so I do actually have the physical books now that I really want to get to soon because I've heard that those are really good. But if you do have any more recommendations, then please do let me know. But that is everything from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!